Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, it's our weekly update from the state capitol with legislative leaders. And we'll hear about a new vision for the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Each week during the legislative session, we speak with leaders from both parties to get an update of activity at the state capitol. This week, we hear from Democrats. Joining us, Senate Minority Leader Katie Hobbs and House Minority Leader Rebecca Rios. Good to see you both again. Thanks for joining us. Hey, a lot of noise at the Capitol regarding another abortion bill. This is SB 1367, obviously coming out of the Senate here. Involves what, a baby born alive during the procedure? Well, what's this all about? Yeah,
so it applies to any abortion performed after 20 weeks if there's any sign of life requiring resuscitation. The biggest problem with this bill is that there's no distinction between an abortion or a preterm delivery. And so, in that situation, you have, doctors that are trained to, in these very complicated deliveries, but it's pretty much accepted science that a fetus at 20 or 21 weeks has no chance of survival. And so for the doctors providing care in these situations, it's going to not allow them to deliver the standard of care that they would provide. This is in the Senate, obviously, but it could wind up in the House as well, or something similar to it. Your thoughts?
It's unfortunate. I think there are very few of those procedures that are done beyond 20 weeks. And once again, we have legislators that are playing doctor, and we have physicians clearly saying that in many of these cases, these fetuses are not viable. And so you're taking those last moments where it may have been a preterm labor and delivery, and you're taking that child away from the mother, trying to resuscitate them, and not allowing that mother to have those final moments, basically to have a peaceful time with that baby. And I think that's really unfortunate because the odds of actually resuscitating any of these fetuses is minimal to none.
The bill calls for doctors to document all actions taken, defines what delivered alive might be, a new definition at least. One person in the room has to be experienced in neonatal resuscitation. Is that unreasonable as far as Democrats are concerned?
Well, I think, that's not the outcome that somebody goes into an abortion clinic to have, and it's going to put up more barriers in terms of the cost and accessibility of the service if clinics now have to be staffed with this expertise and equipped with this expensive equipment and supplies.
And I think the promoters, obviously Center for Arizona Policy is behind this one, as they are most abortion bills, that doctors are not always accurate with their diagnoses. Do they have a point?
Well, again, I don't think it's the place of legislators to play doctor. And we have many experts that will come and give us, their expert opinion in terms of standard of care and go into great detail about these situations. But you have legislators that they really don't care about the facts. This is more to make a point in terms of their position on abortion. And it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, the victims are going to be those mothers and perhaps, preterm babies that they want to spend those final moments with. And now they're being carted off by a doctor to try life-sustaining, measures that aren't going to work.
Does it take options away from doctors as well? Because I've heard that argument. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure. I know Katie might be able to speak to that.
Well, there's liability on doctors, and that's a problem. But yeah, I think it doesn't allow doctors to practice to their training.
All right. Is the Democratic caucus united on this? How secure are you that you have all those no votes?
Well, it was voted out of the Senate 18 to 12, so one of our members voted for the bill.
As far as the House is concerned, what do you think?
We don't take a caucus position necessarily on these issues. Every member votes the way that they see fit and votes their conscience, so I couldn't give you a read on that.
All right, give me a read on this. The governor plans to pump $1 billion into state universities by way of allowing a tax form of keeping sales taxes in-house, basically, as opposed to going to cities and towns when general fund as it usually goes. You would think that $1 billion possibility for bonding to universities would be pretty popular with Democrats. doesn't sound like it is. What's going on?
Well, Democrats are all behind giving universities more money. And in fact, we've been clamoring about the need to directly fund universities. This is yet another budget gimmick that the governor has come up with. Unfortunately, what it does is it pits the universities against cities and towns and puts many members right in the middle of two groups that we support very much. At the end of the day, what I've said is if the governor wants to give $30 million of what would have been the state shared revenues portion that goes to the state, to the universities, we will support that. I do not support the governor spending the $6.5 million that should be going to all the cities and towns throughout Arizona. Again, he should not be expending state shared revenues that are going to other cities and towns. I think in many respects, it's his way of kind of poking his finger in the eye of cities and towns, which we've seen session after session, a lot of different bills that are very punitive to cities and towns. And this one is not necessary, and I don't think he has the support from the majority of Democrats, and I understand there are a lot of Republicans that don't support that budget scheme either.
In the Senate, again, this is 38 some odd million dollars. Doesn't go to cities and towns, general fund. Instead, goes back to the universities. There's taxes that that happens regarding their sales activity, and they get to use it for bonding. Why does it have to be direct funding of universities? This is obviously not direct funding. It might very well be a gimmick, but it's $1 billion.
Right. So, and I think it's just a portion of that 36 billion or whatever or million that is going to not go to cities and towns. But the problem is that you have, a group that's been cut over and over again by the Republican majority, cities and towns and counties, and then another group, universities, that's been cut over and over again by the Republican majority. And now this proposal that pits those two entities against each other. And those are two entities that the Democrats have, stood up for, and it puts us in a difficult position.
I know it's not the full 38 million that the cities and towns would lose. I think it's $7 million, somewhere along those lines. Is there less of a sales tax? Is there a way to work around this, or is this just as long as it's not direct funding to universities, you're not interested?
Well, no. I mean, I think the proposal is a good proposal. I'd like to find a way that it can be, stand without the hit to the cities and towns, and I think that there might be a way to do that. I hope that the governor will entertain that.
What about less of a hit to cities and towns? Is that an option?
No, I think what I've proposed on behalf of my caucus is you exempt out that city and town portion. You give them the $30 million, that's our state shared revenues that we should be appropriating, but we shouldn't be expending city and town dollars on their behalf.
And as far as the House is concerned, you see both Republicans and Democrats showing concern over this?
Absolutely. And I think the reasons may vary. I think you have very conservative Republicans that would just as soon not give any money to universities regardless of the funding scheme. So for a variety of different reasons, the governor does not have enough support at this time.
All right, let's get some reasons why you are running for Secretary of State.
Well, I think that we have seen a lot of missteps, that's a nice word, coming out of the current office. And I think Arizonans deserve better. I'm focused right now on my job as the Senate Minority Leader, but I am hearing from constituents that they're disappointed with what's going on in that office. The presidential preference election, failure to send out statutorily required publicity pamphlets, many other missteps along the way. And now the dust up between her and the county recorders, which she seems to have kind of brushed aside as not a big deal, and it's still an ongoing issue, and it is a big deal. Do
you think it's a big deal to voters?
I think that somebody in the office who's made a total reversal on campaign promises around dark money, and somebody whose job is to oversee elections and seems to be mismanaging that job.
As far as running for, and one last question, have you talked to Greg Stanton about this? Because the mayor of Phoenix seems to have his eyes on that office as well.
Sure. I mean, he's said that right now he's not planning to run for that office, and so I don't know what his plans are.
Okay, so you haven't talked to him about this. That's a concern, I would think, for Democrats. If you would have two relatively high-profile Democratic candidates running for the bench for the Democrats, it's no secret. It's not that deep of a bench I mean, can you guys afford to have a primary for Secretary of State?
Well, I think the beauty of it is that the bench that we do have is very qualified, and it does give Democrats a fantastic option. It may be a very difficult choice for many Democrats, but remains to be seen. We may not have a primary at all.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens there. Before we go, we've talked about Senator Steve Smith. He had an immigration bill. We talked about this on the Friday show, and it was very interesting what happened there in the Senate regarding him bringing in victims of crimes and telling lawmakers, look these people in the eye, and you tell them why you're not voting the way Senator Smith thinks they should vote. Your reaction?
Yeah, it was a very difficult experience, and I know that Senator Smith knew going into that floor vote that he did not have the votes to pass his bill, and so for him to bring those victims' families in and do that, and he talked about them having to relive their tragedies when really it was him that put them in that position. He brought them there, he paraded them out in front of the media, he told their stories on the Senate floor in a way to shame legislators into voting for that bill, which will not bring their family members back. It was shameful how that happened.
Do you think an ethics investigation is required?
I heard that Senator Brophy McGee is looking into that, and I would support her in that. Yeah, I would support that. There's probably disagreement whether he impugned members, but a lot of us feel pretty.
Yeah, he doesn't think he did. He thinks he was just questioning their motives and questioning not their motives, but questioning the vote. We don't see this very often down there, this kind of in-your-face attempt to shame, do we? I mean, it's a little more subtle than that usually, isn't it?
With regard to Steve Smith, I think it's important to remember he was kind of a one-trick pony, single-issue candidate when he ran, and it was through the efforts of Sheriff Babu and Russell Pierce that he won, and his issue was immigration. So he is, quite honestly, quite vicious on this issue when his members don't follow what he would like. And I think that's what we saw. And that kind of bullying and intimidation is wrong, but does it occur at the legislature? It does. And not only does it occur, Democrat, feeling it from Republicans or vice versa, although we don't have the opportunity really to do that, the intra-party bullying, I think, is much more vicious.
Interesting.
And because when you have members of that Republican Party that aren't falling in line with their leadership, they take the wrath. We saw that with kids' care. I understand it happened with Medicaid expansion. I would fully expect we will see that again with ESAs if those Republicans don't fall in line and support the majority.
Are you suggesting we don't see that with Democrats?
I will say that if we were in the majority, then you might see that. But right now, we don't have those opportunities to be mean and nasty, so we're not.
Okay. All right. Interesting way to look at it. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear about a new vision for the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation exists to preserve Taliesin and Taliesin West and to promote the iconic architect's ideas and designs. Foundation has new leadership, and with that leadership comes a new vision. Stuart Graff is the new Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation president and CEO, and also with us is preservation architect Victor City. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Give me a better definition, the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation.
So the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation was first established in 1940 by Mr. Wright, furthered after his passing in 1959, and it really exists to do a few different things. First and foremost, to promote his ideas, his architecture and design. He saw a vision of the world that included arts, culture, architecture, all coming together and organically integrating the designed environment, the things that we build, along with the natural world around us. So we try to promote that. Second piece of what he asked us to do was to perpetuate his apprenticeship program, which today is the Frank Lloyd Wright School of Architecture.
And the Frank Lloyd Wright School of Architecture, now, that has been separated from the foundation, correct?
It will be separated later this year. We just received this past week approval from the accrediting body.
Right.
And so we are now working to establish that legal separation, but we're thrilled to get this result.
I was going to say, get this resolved indeed, because they were in danger of losing accreditation because of the closeness of the foundation and all that business. But that has been settled, and all systems go?
All systems are go.
Okay. As far as preservation, now, the David Wright House, is that the one in Arcadia that's got everyone all in a big old huff?
It sure is.
Talk to us about this house, and why are people so worked up about it?
It's a great secret of architecture. It was hidden behind closed doors for about 60 years, and only a few years ago was opened. Now, the problem is that when you open something that's been so tightly kept a secret, it creates activity that was unknown to the neighbors before. And so we're in the process now of working with the neighbors to find a suitable solution to allowing the building to have open doors and also not disturbing the neighborhood.
So right now, that there are no tours, there are no third-party events there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Will that change?
Well, we hope to go through a process with the neighborhood to and the city council and mayor to get the building open to the public in a way that it can be, I think, a rightfully placed point of pride for the city of Phoenix and really for Arizona.
And as long as it doesn't upset the neighbors. I mean, they do live there. I mean, they do have a voice in all this.
Correct, but this is not the first time that a wonderful architectural treasure in close proximity to people's homes is open to the public, and we're looking at what best practices are, for example, to resolve that issue.
You mentioned Frank Lloyd Wright's ideas, his architecture, his design, his vision. Give us a 30,000-foot view of that. I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but
Sure.
give me a little more.
Sure. So Frank Lloyd, at the time that Frank Lloyd Wright began working in the late 19th century, the house was essentially a box with lots of little boxes inside. If you think about Victorian architecture, lots of tiny little boxes inside. He broke the box. First, he changed the shape of houses. Instead of being these vertical structures, they could be horizontal, they could be angular. The second thing is that inside, you'd have these vast open expanses, and then you'd open that interior to the exterior space. Many people think of ribbon windows as a characteristic for Wright's work, but it goes well beyond the ribbon windows. To have this seamless integration, he called it organic architecture, between the interior and the exterior, the natural and the human-made. His ideas also started working toward things like that we would today call sustainability. Natural lighting instead of artificial lighting whenever it was possible. Transparency and using natural currents to cool and heat houses. Making houses fireproof in interesting ways. And so he was always exploring new materials, new structures, new designs. In fact, Taliesin West, right here in Scottsdale, one of Arizona's great gems, was actually established to be a desert laboratory. And so it was constantly changing, constantly evolving. And part of our new vision is to continue using it as a laboratory for architecture and design today.
Interesting. As a preservation architect, though, I mean, you're not just preserving a mid-century modern home out in the tract somewhere. I mean, what are the challenges when it comes to a Wright house?
Sure. Well, so first of all, the David Wright House is in Arcadia, a place that was known for many years as this kind of bucolic landscape of citrus groves. That's changing, and yet the David Wright House can embody the essential qualities of Arcadia in a way that almost no other property can. We're looking to replant a lot of the citrus groves, for example, so that the house has a context that is indicative of the way that the house used to be. The house itself is in relatively good condition. It's a concrete building with glass and steel and wood, and so what we're doing is looking at bringing the house to not necessarily a building preserved in amber, say, but in a building that can serve a life that embodies Frank Lloyd Wright's idea of a living architecture. Stuart talked about an organic architecture,
yes.
and Wright, especially near the end of his life, talked about a living architecture, something that is not, say, a house museum, but a place that memories can be made, a place that welcomes neighborhood and organizations. We're looking at partnering with a number of other organizations within the city and state to allow the essential elements of Frank Lloyd Wright's work, the kind of poetry that he creates in the desert, to stand strong.
Okay, we're running out of time. Last question here regarding the foundation, the goal, the vision. Can the foundation, I mean, I think that a lot of people don't even know that the foundation exists. Can the foundation tell its story better?
Sure. One of the things that I've been working on for the 13 months that I've been in town is really reaching out to the community, talking with community leaders, understanding the role that we can play within the Arizona community, the Metro Phoenix community, and the city of Scottsdale, and then trying to make ourselves a resource to the entire community, not just a destination that you come to once and then you never come back, but a place you come to frequently.
All right. Well, good luck to you. Congratulations on the position, and good luck to you as well with I guess the always new David Wright House. Something's always happening there. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thursday on Arizona Horizon is a special In Focus edition as we talk one-on-one with Arizona Diamondbacks President and CEO Derek Hall. We'll talk about the team, his life, and more. In Focus with Derek Hall. That's at 5:30 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to Arizona Horizon here on Arizona PBS. I'm Alice Ferris. You know, when you watch programs like Arizona